We are here with my partner, Mayur Thakarar. My name is John Pugh, and we're excited to bring you part 2 of our Agent Attraction 2024 business planning session. Mayur, how's it going?
It's going good. I'm excited to be here because we get to talk about our favorite thing in the world, which is agent attraction. So let's dive in.
Man, I'm excited to follow up on last week's powerful conversation. I hope some people did their homework. I hope they went through their big why and whatnot. We'll jump to that in a second. But one thing I was just thinking about this morning is how great is it to start the year at how many agents will you have in your organization when we start the year roughly?
When we started the year?
No, this year, how many will it be on January 1st, 2024?
Hoping to be a little over 800.
A little over 800. And so every year as a real estate agent for the 20 years in my career, I've had to start from square one and hope that my business plan will yield results. This year, I get to start out on what I'd like to consider third base, right?
Absolutely.
And how is that a game changer? Like not having to reinvent the wheel, just being able to build on what we've already done.
Well, the funnest part about agent attraction and when you have a decent group is you're finally rowing a boat with a couple hundred of your best friends that are all rowing in the same direction because you all have the same goal. I mean, how many of you guys out there listening that have a real estate goal and you're like, geez, I got to do everything myself. I got to lead generate. I got to do the listings. I got to do the buyer appointments. It's all by yourself. And when it comes to agent attraction, I mean, how many agents did we add this month alone? I think we're at like 30, 35. Yeah. And we didn't add that many ourselves. And so we had, hundreds of people helping us to row the boat. When me and you, maybe we relaxed our arms a little bit and got to sit back and watch the boat glide, which is very cool.
And it's people that are bringing us new relationships. So now every single day we get introduced to new partners, new people that we can pour into, that we can build businesses with. And that's really exciting. We just had some really awesome, 2 different couples join from the Spokane area, which was so cool. Like I never would have met them or known them. One of our top leaders, Joe Turco, right? Everybody knows Boston Joe Turco. He walked into a coffee shop in Connecticut today randomly and ran into one of our other top leaders, David Brooke, who sells like every house in Connecticut. And David happened to be on an appointment talking to somebody about coming over and partnering with us at EXP. Like, what are the chances?
Yeah, very cool.
All right, let's dive into it. Let's load up those slides and we will get going. So just to quickly recap, number 1, everything we talk about here for our friends in legal is no guarantees. Agent attraction is a business like anything else. It requires hard work. We are paid on the production of agents that we attract to this company. So there's no get rich quick scheme here. There's no multimillionaires made overnight. This requires performance and is going to vary by each individual depending on how seriously they take it. And so we want to dive into some of those tactics that are going to help it be more predictable and possibly more rewarding for the people who want to take it seriously. Last week, we talked about your big why. So Mayur went over a great exercise where you have 2 conversations with your family or your loved ones. 1, if things go really well, yeah, there you go. The balloons, if things go really well, you get the balloons. And 2, if things don't go so well, what does that conversation sound like if you didn't put in the work and didn't hit your goals? If you did not watch part 1, please go back. It's on the EXP Realty YouTube channel. It's last week. Just hit that. It's the first 30 minutes. Catch up because we went through some really powerful stuff, including the economic model. We talked about the numbers that we use as placeholders and how you can set a big goal and work backwards to figure out exactly what you need. And we want to basically be getting people to an event, right? EXP is experiential. We want them to be able to talk to one of your partners. You don't want to try and sell, right? EXP, like agent attraction isn't about selling an opportunity. There's a ton of people who want to join EXP. It's about being the person that people think of when they think about making a change, when they think about exploring EXP. And you want to know how these all convert, right? It's just like taking a listing. How many appointments do you need to go on to sign a listing? How many people do you need to talk to get somebody to say they're ready to get onboarded? And how many of those people are going to get into production? And hopefully, how many of those people are going to love this company so much that they decide to build alongside you? I wanted to jump into this. So Mayur, here's an example that we came up with, right? To go from, if you set a goal, right? So this could be Joe Turco, right? We want to go from 300 agents in our group to 600 agents by the end of 2024. And now if you're in a lesser place in your journey, maybe you want to go from 5 agents to 20 agents. Maybe you want to go from 50 to 100. Whatever it is, plug your numbers in. but this is what it might look like, right? So Mayur, will you run us through some of the numbers here on kind of how this might work if we were trying to just set up a real concrete goal to go from X to Y over the course of 2024?
Yeah, so let's start off with conversations. So you're going to need about 20 conversations to get an appointment. And so what do those conversations look like? Well, I talked to an agent yesterday who said, I don't know how to introduce EXP to anybody. And I said, you shouldn't be introducing EXP to anybody. You should be asking that agent how they're doing with their goals, because that's where it all begins. And when you just start selling EXP, you don't know what the other agent or person is looking for. And so 20 conversations to an appointment looks like talking to 20 agents and just asking them how their year was. How did you do this year? Did you hit your goal? And then once you get 20 conversations in and you get some people about their goals, you're going to find some people that haven't hit their goals that are looking for a better solution. And at that point, you can turn that into an appointment. And it takes about 3 or 4 appointments to end up getting somebody to join.
And
so 20
and that really depends, right, on who those appointments are with. So if you're having 3 appointments with broker owners of a 400-person brokerage, you might not convert at a 3-to-1 ratio. If you're talking to 3 brand new licensees, then you might actually convert all 3 of them. And so it's really going to be important. Is this somebody you already know? Is this a stranger? What's their level of clout or experience in the industry, right? But these are just good example numbers, right?
Exactly. It's just like a listing, right? $10 million listing takes a few more appointments than the $300,000 condo down the street. So 20 conversations with agents about their goals should get you about 3 or 4 appointments of people actually wanting to sit down and talk about putting together a plan. Every 2 hires that you get, which are frontline agents, and a frontline agent is somebody that joins your rev share group that has not yet done a deal over 5,000 in GCI. Once they end up doing a deal that's 5,000 GCI or $1,000 to EXP, they will become a frontline qualified agent. So if you need to gross 14 frontline agents, probably 20 to be safe, you're going to need 60 appointments. You're going to need 1,200 conversations. And if you break that down into 200 working days, you're doing 6 conversations a day.
Whoa. I got to have 6 conversations a day to add 300 agents to my group. Is it really just that simple? I know, look, some people don't talk to 6 people a week, but like, if I just focused on this, if I took this super seriously, the math tracks that way?
The math absolutely tracks that way. We've been tracking ours for 4 years, and that's pretty much to the exact numbers there. And so it's 6 conversations a day. And so a lot of agents say, well, like you said, I don't talk to 6 people a day. Let's look at your phone. Oh, well, you called Joe, the buyer's agent, to see if the house was still for sale. Then you called Mike over there with the listing on 22 Fake Street to see if they lowered the price. And if you notice, you are having 6, maybe even more conversations than that. And all you have to do is slip in, you know what, I just wanted to ask you one more question. How's it going this year for you? How are your goals? And then you turn that conversation into potentially an appointment.
Well, we could break it down. We could say, talk to one agent you're doing a deal with, or you've done a deal with. Talk to one agent that's in your local market that you respect. Talk to one agent that you follow on social media. So we could like chunk it down and put it into little categories, and then it wouldn't even feel very overwhelming, right? It would be pretty simple.
Yeah, here's a cheat sheet. Do an open house. If you do an open house properly, you should be talking to dozens of agents at that same time.
That's absolutely, or broker preview, right? Put a listing on broker preview, and that's literally your opportunity to meet new real estate agents, or go to other people's broker previews and build relationships with them. I'm not saying walk into their broker preview and be like, hey, you want to talk about EXP? But like, you got to start somewhere, right? You've got to start the conversation caring about them. And then at the bottom here, we have, at 300 agents, you're going to need about 18 total, and it's going to go up over time, right? Once we get to 318 agents, you need 19, and then 20, and so on and so forth. What I want to point out there, though, is you're not bringing in 18 a month. Like, we brought in 30 plus people this month. We didn't bring them all in ourselves, right? We brought in, I don't know, I sponsored maybe 2 agents in the last 30 days. I think I sponsored
like 1.
Yeah, you sponsored like one. So what you need to understand is that at a high level, as these numbers grow, you're only bringing in a small portion, just like when you started. On day one, you start out bringing in one person. You can only ever focus on one person. So you build a relationship with somebody, and that person joins and names you sponsor. And simultaneously, you're teaching your leaders how to go find other people and work through this. So duplication is the name of the game. And we're not trying to get anybody to recruit 1,000 agents. That would be ridiculous. Let's talk about the lead gen model. So how many leads or relationships do you need to hit your goal? So we talked about this 1,200 conversations, which sounds like a lot until you start to chunk it down. Mayur, what's out of how many relationships? Is this 1,200 people, or what's the list of 200?
So to start this off for anybody who's new to this, you just want to create a list of 200 agents that you know, you like, or want to be in business with. And so not everybody needs to be somebody that, you know, you've gone on vacation with or had a lunch with or even a conversation with. It could be the agent that is the dominant listing agent in your area that you've never spoken to, who you would love to be partnered up with. And so you want to create a list of 200 agents that you know, like, or want, and then break it down into what your relationship score is. So if you know that agent, they're a good friend of yours, then on the relationship score, they might score like an 8 or a 9. If you've never spoken to them, they'll be a 0. Then you also want to create a score for what their EXP interest is. If they've asked you about your experience with EXP and they're kind of, you know, saying, let me see a little bit more, then they'll be high on that list. If they said, hey, don't ever talk to me about EXP, you can put them as a 0. Either way, you want to have those 2 columns next to their names to know what their interest is. And over time, you want to build up those scores. You want to build up your relationship score with them, and you want to build up their EXP interest score.
Agents ask us all the time, do I have to cold call?
Absolutely not.
Wait, okay. So you're saying we could do this and we could never make a cold call? What about inbound versus outbound? Like, when do I need to pick up the phone, and what could I do if I'm not the kind of person that just wants to start calling random people out of my MLS, and I would rather, you know, maybe field some warm conversations?
Well, believe it or not, every single month, there's hundreds of agents that join EXP without even selecting a sponsor. And so every single month, there's hundreds of agents that have already made the decision that this is the company they want to be at. And the goal is to try and get in front of a few of those. And so when it comes to inbound leads, there's a ton of different ways. You could throw an event, you know, hey, here's an event on XYZ. And by the way, if anybody has any questions on EXP, hang around. There's talking about it on your social media. There's broker previews, there's open houses, there's a ton of different ways to do it, working with real estate schools. And so we found that we've been able to employ at least 6 or 7 lead gen levers that are all inbound. I can't remember the last time I made an outbound phone call to somebody about EXP. Can you?
I mean, it's not like we didn't do it, right? You got to get the boulder rolling, right? When you start in real estate, you don't know anybody, you got to do something. But once you figure out kind of how to become known as a trusted resource at EXP, like, my goal is always to be the person people think about. And so one of the ways I do that, this is really simple. Anybody can do this, but I wear the brand. Like, I don't wear a lot of branded clothing, but I love to wear the EXP brand, because EXP is the only brand that actually puts money in my pocket on a monthly basis. And so if I'm going to put somebody's logo on my body, might as well benefit from it at the same time. I like to say I'm sponsored by EXP. So kind of like a pro athlete or something like that. Now, we're going to go into some different lead sources in a minute. Let's talk about quality, though, because you could go out, right? We know people have gone out and sponsored hundreds of agents, and their group is hundreds of agents. And then we know people who've sponsored 40 or 50, and their group is thousands. What do you think about the approach of like quality versus quantity?
It's just like if you're in your real estate business, you want listings. Listings are quality. And so I talk to agents all the time that say, oh, I got 100 buyers. 100 buyers to me is like 100 new agents joining your group. There's a very, very small chance that you're going to get a closed deal out of just having a buyer lead. Now, when you have a quality listing that's priced right, you have a very high percentage that that's going to turn into a commission check. And it's kind of the same way with agents, right? If you have an influential agent that joins your group, most likely when they join, their influence is going to carry over, and a lot of agents are going to follow them on their journey into EXP. And so going after influential agents, coaches, trainers, team leaders, people that other people follow and respect. You know, everybody has a brokerage where when their manager leaves, they follow the manager. Go after the manager.
Yeah, that's so true. And when you think about it, right, it's just your list of 200. Like what you seek, you will find. So if you put a bunch of quality on your list of 200, it's going to be a little more challenging. It might be a little scarier to have those conversations. Look, everybody puts their pants on the same way, but it's going to be much more effective. And in the long run, I promise you, it's going to be a lot more fun. And remember, if you're doing this at a high level, you're probably not going to be the one to have these detailed conversations. Your goal is to spark interest. Your goal is to invite them to something and let them experience EXP. And then get somebody from the growth team, get somebody from your organization, one of your business partners above you, get someone that understands this at a high level, like us, maybe a coach that you've hired, to help you walk through this process and convert this person and close them. I know we do a lot of that for our coaching clients, et cetera. So I would look at, where did your last 3 recruits come from? If you're in the game, if you're not just getting started with agent attraction, what's working? Double down on what's working. You don't have to try something new necessarily. What about your FLQAs or your builders, right? Where did they come from? Look for the sources of opportunity that are linked to the results that you desire, right? So like I've gotten sponsorships off of TikTok. I understand what those are. Those are largely newer agents or lower performing agents that need, a success formula, and they fill a role within my organization, but they are not how I got my builders, right? How I got my builders was a completely different way. And then you need to understand your organization. Do you need more frontline agents? Do you need to put some gas in the gas tank, right? Do you need more FLQAs to unlock levels? Or do you have a really good foundation and what you need is one amazing person with influence that can grow your organization significantly over the next 12 months? Once you identify that and you break it down to the right people, then it's really just a matter of 6 conversations a day, 1 appointment every 3 working days, 6 conversations per day across 20 working days a month is going to be 120 conversations. And at the conversion rate, you're going to end up with 2 hires and 1 frontline qualifying agent every single day. And that's as good as anyone's ever done. Like Jay Kinder is the best that ever lived. I think he sponsored 3 agents a month for 3 straight years. That's Michael Jordan. Everybody else, the best anybody else did is 2 agents a month over a consistent period of time. And I will tell you, if you can sponsor 1 agent a month for 18 months, your life will be changed forever. And honestly, guys, if you took 1 listing, if you didn't even take, I didn't even list an agent every month the last 4 years. I sponsored an agent maybe once every month and a half, maybe once every 2 months almost. If that was a listing, if that was my sales business, I wouldn't even be in real estate. And yet here is a model and opportunity where I can become one of the best in the entire company through just focusing on sponsoring 1 quality agent every single month. That's a pretty cool opportunity if you ask me. So here is a list. I like to think this is the most comprehensive list on the planet. If somebody has something that's not on this list, I want you to DM me and tell me what I left off. This is every lead generation activity or source I can think of. Mayur, why don't you walk us through these and tell us kind of a little bit about the ones that stand out to you or that are your favorite?
Yeah. So if you want to make things easy, you're going to want to do social media. Okay. If you're not on social media, it's like not using the newspaper, radio, or TV 20 years ago. That's where all the eyes are. And guess what? It's free and it's organic and it grows. So we always recommend to our coaching clients, the first thing you want to do is put your story out there. Why are people going to join you? Tell us about your journey, and then put it on YouTube, put it on TikTok, put it on Reels. We love those 3 sources because what are those 3 sources? Where are they going to? Are they going to your friends and your family that already know you? Or are they going to people that you haven't met yet? They're going to people that you haven't met yet. And those are the people you want to reach out to. If you place, just a social media post on your Facebook, Well, it's just going to go to your friend list. And unless your friend list includes every realtor that you ever want to do business with, you're kind of in the wrong newspaper. You want to be in USA Today, which is all over the United States, not your local newsletter. So that's why video works great. And the best thing about video is it works 24 hours a day. It works when you're on a listing appointment. It works when you're sleeping. It works when you're at lunch. It works when you're on vacation. And so that is something that you could do at scale. And the great thing about EXP is you're not governed to one location. You can't only recruit to your local city, like as if you had owned a franchise or worked at a different company. You can recruit all around the world. Regional events are amazing. EXP Con, Brent Gove's Cabo events, shareholders. These are the things that you want to invite agents to, and you want to prepare in advance. So let's talk about EXPCon. EXPCon is in the beautiful city of Las Vegas.
And this year it's going to be in Miami.
And this year is going to be in Miami. That's right. And so are we going to go ahead and buy our tickets a couple weeks before and then get a few rooms and then throw out a few invites?
No. We're doing that right now. If you haven't bought your tickets already, you are behind the gun. We want early bird pricing, right? We got our budget model coming up. We don't want to eat into our budget by paying too much. And then we want to book hotel rooms. A lot of times you can cancel hotel rooms, 48 hours in advance, right, Mayur?
Absolutely. And if you buy a few extra tickets to EXPCon and you get yourself a few extra rooms, you're going to have a very high likelihood of reaching out to agents to invite them to come down. If you don't have any tickets and you don't have any hotel rooms, you are probably just not going to bring anybody. And we always advise that anybody who's serious about this to invite people now and get them booked.
And last year, they let you bring a guest for free with the Explorer Pass. And I'm pretty sure they're going to continue to do that. So if you have an Explorer Pass, someone should be coming on that ticket. If you have people in your organization who have an Explorer Pass, someone should be coming on those tickets. Like, use these free opportunities. The conversion rate, they actually track the number of explorers, the number of explorers that end up saying they're interested, and then the number that join. And the percentage is crazy. It's almost everyone. Literally almost every single person who attends one of these events as a guest eventually decides that EXP is a good fit for them. They have a full onboarding team. They have the growth team. They have an Explorer lounge. Everything is on site to get these people signed up live. We brought somebody, one of my partners brought a friend of mine and hers, and that person decided on the spot to sign up, and they announced her at EXPCon on the big screen, welcoming her to EXP all over the collateral video boards that were there. It's a really cool experience. And all of these things work, guys. Real estate schools work. You can hire to teams. We've done that with lots of teams around the country. You can put up job ads saying a so-and-so team is looking for a buyer's agent or whatever that is. That can work really well because teams will support that agent and make sure that they end up successful. You can do warm or cold outreach. You can do text messages, real estate schools like we talked about, or career nights. Like, everything works, but nothing works one time, right? You need to be consistent. And so the number one thing that I would say is pick 3 of these. Don't try and do everything on this list. Pick 3 of these. Start with 1. Get really consistent with your execution of one of these strategies. And then once that plate is spinning, add in a second one. And if those 2 plates are spinning, then maybe you add in a third. I know a lot of people that never get to their third strategy. But if you're able to do, let's say, video, let's say you do reels, right? Instagram reels. If you do Instagram reels at like an 8, right? 8 out of 10. And then you do events at like a 6 out of 10, right? Meaning you bring people, but you're not like crushing it. You're not putting all the money in. And then maybe you do career nights at like a 2 out of 10. Like, you did one, but it wasn't very good. I guarantee you that your efforts with the reels and the efforts with your other opportunities are going to add up in excess of your goal. And that's really what you're looking for, is you want to create 3 things that all put together get you farther than where you set out to be at the beginning of the
year. Two quick questions for you, John.
Yeah.
How did I recruit you?
How did you recruit me? You took me to a crazy real estate conference and showed me what was going on. And I decided that I had to join that company because I had an amazing 3-day experience.
I invited you to an event and I took care of your travel arrangements. And at the event, you made a decision to join.
We didn't even know each other.
We didn't even know each other. Second question. how did you and I decide to eventually join EXP, and who helped us to make that decision? How did that happen?
Dan Beer decided to invite us to an EXP event. He flew us out to Las Vegas. There was a small conference going on at the time at, I believe, Red Rock. And to be completely honest, we were so in leadership at our other company, we didn't even feel comfortable walking in the room. But when it came time to join EXP 18 months later, that's who we ended up deciding to be our sponsor, because he had put the skin in the game to invite us and fly us out somewhere and take a chance on us. And that meant a lot. When we were deciding between sponsors, that was how we made our final decision.
Yep. Events, guys. Events works 100% of the time if you work it.
100%. Let's jump into the budget model, right? So we want to treat this like a business. If you're going to be anywhere the 6 or above on how seriously you take agent attraction, you need to take it treat it like a business. And so how much do you need to spend, right? You wouldn't run your real estate business on 100% profitability. You shouldn't run your agent attraction business, which is just like a real estate team without borders, right? It's like an expansion model. So what's the percentage of profitability you run your real estate team at? I see real estate teams that run on 5% profit, 10% profit, 20% profit. If you're a solo practitioner, maybe the highest you see is 80% profit. If you're running your real estate business on more than 80% profit, you probably need to reinvest into some leverage and some marketing and some other tools, because you cannot be taking home every penny that you earn. At some point, you need to reinvest. So Mayur, you owned a real estate brokerage. What is the average percentage of profitability for a real estate office or a real estate brokerage? How do they operate?
We're looking at 10% or if everything goes well.
10% or less, meaning 90% of the money that the brokerage brings in goes back out the door. What are the biggest expenses there?
So your biggest expense is going to be your office space or lease, which is roughly 20 to 25% of all of your gross income. And then another 20 or 25% for your staff. And that's still not running at a very high level.
So 50% of your expenses are going to be put into leases and staff. And those are two things that you don't need to run this model.
Absolutely not.
It's perfect. Percentage of revenue share you'll reinvest. What do you think, Mayur? How much, if you were doing this again to start over with, how much would you reinvest of your revenue share in order to grow?
If you don't need the money right now, 100%. And the reason why I say 100 is because every dollar that you put in here multiplies.
So you would just say
you're not going to put in money.
Operate at zero for how long? How long should somebody do that in order to get the ball rolling?
At least your first year. I talked to an agent yesterday who said that in their first year, they made $10,000 in revenue share, and they reinvested zero. And they were worried about doing an event that had an overhead cost of $250. And if they had done that event, they would have probably ended up with a couple frontline. And if you get 2 frontline, you get 1 frontline qualified. 1 frontline qualified, if they pay out the full cap, is about $2,800. And so just on that $250 investment, they would have got a 11 times multiple on that, not assuming that agent would bring in anybody else and not including the stock. And so it's much more than an 11 times return, depending on how you can spend it.
And things you could spend it on are staff. When we met Glenn Sanford, we said, we want to build a big group. The first time we met him at a sprint event, what should we do? And he said, I would hire an onboarding specialist, which we did, who became our integrator. And having someone to be our right hand to help get this going and treat it like a real business has been one of the best things we ever did. Shout out to Chelsea Gray. She's the best in the business. We've got leads. You can buy leads. We've talked about different ways you can do that. Tools, right? You can buy CRMs, you can buy video equipment. There's lots of tools that you could spend money on. We already hit on travel and events a ton. Mayur, there's one really important one that I think we left off the list. What might somebody want to spend money on if they were going to really take this super seriously?
Coaching? Coaching, yeah, you're right, coaching. And so, just like anything else, you're gonna need to have a coach to guide you through this. RevShare and EXP is not something that you can just take off a shelf and read a book and understand it. You really need to understand this from the inside and out, and it's dynamic. Things are changing all the time. So having good coaches to help guide you along this process is probably the number one thing that we would recommend right off the bat.
100%. Now, we are going to wrap for today. We're going to get into your organizational model and some homework on the next one. But we sure have enjoyed being here today. I'm excited to see what comes up next with the social media meets AI. I love the way EXP is always focused on helping you grow your business. And what we know is that when your business grows, your ability to attract agents also grows. Nobody wants to come work with an agent that doesn't sell any houses, that isn't successful, that isn't giving back to the community. So what I would recommend is when you watch the remainder of this program, take notes and turn those notes into valuable content that you can share on social media, that you can send to your database, that you can create a reel out of, that you can put forward to the agent community to show them all the great things that you're learning and implementing from EXP in order to grow your business, start new conversations. If you just have 6 conversations a day, you can be anywhere you want 12 months from now. Mayur, anything you want to add to that?
No, if anybody needs any help or more explanation, give us a call. Hit us up on work chat or Facebook or whatever it is, and reach out to myself or John. We're more than happy to help anybody who's looking for it.